I am Sheilagh Foster. I look around lots to capture my thoughts. I watch light in this valley unfold. I try to capture with paint scenes sunlit and quaint, our mountains and scenes of the wold. Sometimes I fight when paint isn't right to arrest my thoughts with a poem, and so will I here, though the quality I fear may convince you'd prefer I was home. One summer my niece had misfortune unleash. On a trip she took up the beaver. This poem isn't meant to retell the event, but to give her a hug and relieve her. My apologies to Robert Service for twisting his wonderful poem, The Shooting of Dan McBride. This is Nightmare, Dawn, and Dancer. A bunch of pals were whooping it up on a trail along the stream. The one who handled the pack horse rope was whistling a country theme. Back on the path in a carefree mood rode Dawn, who was humming along, and watching the track was her light o' love, Dancer, sure-footed and strong. When up with their eyes, tail swishing at flies, the lead horse came to a stop. Time for a beer and a check of the gear. The horses all leaned down to crop. The pack horse was huffing and soaked in new sweat. Froth showed neath his groin and his girth. After passing some gas and a rest from the task, he was fine and had proven his worth. Some were unsure of the pack horse's load. They decided to give him a rest, change saddle and pack to another fine steed, a mare's nest solution at best. There are critters that somehow won't get in the groove. They want to swap ends for a spell. This whole pack horse thing didn't have a good ring, so he panicked and bolted like hell. Dawn was half mounted, her foot in the stirrup, when Dancer decided to dash. Dawn jumped to the ground, the reins flapped all round, her cayuse was gone like a flash. The two startled horses were feeling their oats. They galloped and plunged down the trail. Midst curses and yelling, the pals were foretelling the strayed mounts were getting their goats. Then they got to figuring where those nags were and wondering what they'd find. They started the trek to follow the wreck of lost horses, all wandering blind. Dawn's eyes went rubbering down the slope. She seemed in a kind of a daze, till at last the old pack horse fell in the way of her wandering gaze. The silly old nag was having a drink. There was no other bronc near the pond. Dawn stumbled on, her friends all around. They searched through the valley beyond. They fanned and they called. There was no sign at all, for Dancer just couldn't be found. They came the next day, but still found no way to where Dancer had covered the ground. Were you ever out in the great outdoors when the moon was full and clear and the valley mountains hemmed you in with a silence you could most hear? With only the howl of a timber wolf as you clambered there day after day? Then you've a hunch what Dawn's hunt meant: worry, resolve, and delay. She searched for Dancer 6 days with no luck. Community joined in the quest. Thousands of strides and exhaustion besides. Each day they would hope for the best. As evening drew nigh, after saying goodbye, an uncle went off in despair. He crossed a main lane and wandered in vain, till waylaid by a whiff in the air. The droppings of horses are pungent and sweet. The scent carries well on the breeze. He couldn't be sure, but the smell of manure made him circle and sniff by degrees. In the morning he met with a horse-probing bunch to see if they'd follow his gut. Faint smell in the air, he'd a hunch she was there, and suggested the searchers pursue it. After days of no luck, but with stamina and pluck, they happily followed his lead. They fanned out to search in spruce, poplar, and birch, determined this time to succeed. Dawn was distraught. Her eyes glistened hot. On the inside, her guts were a-churnin'. Her sister had prayed for their dad's direct aid and her father-in-law's love as he's turnin'. Hope seemed in vain in spite of her pain, and they wandered through forest with fear, till they heard a deep shout. It was Frank who called out, "I found her. She's right over here." The forest grew calm, his words like a bomb. Then pandemonium broke the spell. Dancer was fine, her demeanor sublime. She was saddled and bridled and well. With hugs most bare and tears to share, Dawn nuzzled her face in her horse. She turned to each friend, gratitude to amend. I had feared she was hurt, or far worse. Now these are the simple facts of the case. You may argue and ponder and swear, but the pony that started this week-long quest was the Dancer, best known as Nightmare.